Today, I want to welcome Rob Johnson and Steve Thornton. This is our first time having two people on the podcast at the same time. They are both partners in Sabre Financial Group. Rob brings the financial discipline, the cash forecasting, capital risk, and the decisions that shape enterprise value. We're definitely going to be talking about enterprise value and why you should care about that. Steve brings the operating discipline. He helps leadership teams cut through complexity, fix stalled growth, and execute with focus. Together, they help business owners move from firefighting to building companies that are scalable, predictable, and more valuable. And I would say if it's not just more valuable to investors, it's definitely more valuable to the owners. Guys,
For
welcome.
sure. Thank you, Craig. Great to see you. This is Steve, by the way, and I'm Rob.
That's a
In
good
case you didn't
distinction.
know who was who. So I know. Nice to see you. Thanks for having us today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, I've known both of you, and Steve, you're the one reason that I know Nils Vinja, who's become a wonderful friend. And I just want to thank you for that. That was just I think you mentioned or recommended my book, and he read it and he
Yeah,
bought it, read it, and contacted me. And Rob, of course, we've known each other for what, 3 years now?
Few
Some,
years, yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah. I always enjoy our conversations. Um, with the caveat, they always have trouble figuring out what you do because it just seems to be more. And the every time we hear you
Fair.
talk, you're doing a little bit more, but it's always centered around the financial side of things.
Yeah, and it's not trying to be. It's a good comment. It's not trying to be everything to everyone, but over the years, we started out very focused on controller and CFO functions and finding financing for clients and these kind of things. But in recent years, the operations and the financial side of things they intertwine so tightly. And I've connected with Steve and some others who have that great operational background, and so we've been just as focused in over the last year or two on connecting the dots between the operations side, the financial side, and helping our clients with both.
Yeah. On my other podcast, Fiduciary Alchemy, we had a guest that was talking about a guy that was a business owner and unexpectedly died at 46. And all of a sudden, and he had five kids. His wife was working part-time, doing something that she enjoyed. And now all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of questions that have to be answered. What was the value of his shares in the company? And there was some financial planning, which is not what you guys do, from a financial advisor standpoint, but there were some questions there. But the bottom line is he waited too long to answer important questions in his business. And as a result, his widow is now having to return to work full time.
Right.
And when I look at what you guys do together, and tell me if I have this wrong, Rob, you make sure the books would sing beautiful songs, beautiful music to any investor who wanted to buy. And Steve, you make sure there's a team that can run without the owner being there.
I think your description is good. I would say we also are there. A lot of business owners are pretty lonely, right, at the top. And so one of the ways that shows up is they don't have a sparring partner for strategy and how to position the business. So that's one of the things that we both participate in. That the other thing I'd add in that sad story you shared is a lot of times, a lot of business owners are immense stress because everything falls on them. They have so much owner dependency that, and when systems start to break, and they do as you grow, when all of a sudden the people systems and the playbooks aren't working anymore, now all of a sudden you have all this stress, and that can lead to health problems and relationship problems, and just goes down this awful path of you feel like you're a prisoner to your business versus being
Yeah.
in love with your business, right? And so one of the things that I'd say we enjoy is being able to help people change that, to find joy back in life. And some of the people fall back in love with their business and they don't want to sell. They want to keep it because they love their business now because it's not killing them.
It's not owning
It's
them,
not
right?
owning
Like
them.
they're
Right.
owning, they get back to the point where they're owning the business and the business is not owning them. And it's a huge difference. So just in terms of that quality of life. So yes, I mean, improving profitability, yes, absolutely. And improving systems and process, yes, of course. But it's a ton about what Steve said, which is improving their life and their family situation and having a better quality environment for their employees and the leadership team and everything like that that goes with it.
Right.
Well, and one of the things that Steve that you mentioned was kind of a sense of isolation, loneliness. I think Rob, I think you and I met through Vistage,
We
and
did originally.
and I always describe Vistage as a board of directors that couldn't fire you. And
Right.
the
Right.
and that's the problem. With public companies, they build a board of directors, and I think often the CEOs are a little skittish of being totally open, totally honest, because these are the people that not only determine their pay, but can decide, you know what, I don't think you're the right leadership moving forward.
Mhm.
And so it's hard. A lot of executives, a lot of business owners talk about being lonely because who can they have these tougher, authentic conversations with?
Yeah, there's nobody. I mean, that's the problem. For most, they don't have, we all should have wise counsel, and they don't have the ability to do that because they can't share these things with their employees because some of these things are not easily shareable. And so and then the other part of it is just you need a sparring partner on ideas, right?
Yeah.
And you need somebody to give you other ideas to add into what you're doing. Like a lot of them just don't have bandwidth. So it's which ideas should we go forward with? Which ones do we need to put a pause on? Because right now we just don't have the bandwidth for it. And so, having somebody with you, I think all companies need somebody to play that role with them.
Yeah.
And one of our new enterprise value optimization clients, who I've known for several years, but have worked with her, helping her to secure financing and things like this for acquisitions that she's done. She came to us, 3 or 4 months ago and said, yeah, I'm overwhelmed and I need somebody that's like me that can think strategically like me, and there's nobody else here to do it. I have people who can execute and who can do things, but I don't have the thought partner and I don't have a sounding board. And so, yeah, to your point of what Vistage kind of being that advisory board, and that is our role in some ways for a lot of these business owners, as much as anything, to help them think through and make good decisions, prioritize properly, and so on.
So I can recall exactly 0 times where I was having dinner with somebody or having a drink, and they said, "You know what I'm worried about? I'm really worried about my enterprise value optimization." Um,
Right.
what is that, and why should people
But
care?
but you know what they do say? They do say, you know what, I feel trapped in my business. That's what you might hear
Okay.
them say, right?
Yeah.
You might hear them say, I feel overwhelmed by my business, like I've kind of created this monster,
Yeah.
and I love it and I hate it, and like Steve said earlier, they want to get back to loving it, and or they want to figure out a way to exit or to turn it over to someone else, and they want to turn. What you do here is, I want to turn the business over to my adult kids, but they're not ready to run it. Nobody really else knows how to run it. And so those are the kind of things that people will say, right? They want a transition, they want a solution, they want some happiness and less stress, and they don't know that there's a good way to get there.
And,
Does
and
that
I
make
believe,
sense?
no, absolutely. And I believe the enterprise value optimization is really important. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on what we're talking about. That's basically whether or not you decide to sell the business. If you were to sell the business, that's the number that gets written on the check that's written to you.
Right.
Yeah, and yes, exactly. But it also can, 100% yes. But it also can be the scenario where the owner doesn't really even want to exit, but he or she wants to own the business more from a run the business more from a strategic perspective or maybe more as an absentee type of owner.
Or be an investor to the business versus active operator of the business.
And so in the same way, you're still, improving the profitability and improving the systems and the process and the leadership improves that asset and makes that asset, whether they keep it or whether they sell it, makes that asset much more valuable financially, intangibly, in all of those ways entirely.
Yeah, and again, I'll go back and emphasize, I think a key thing, and this is probably where we get the most enjoyment, is when you see that person, we start engaging somebody, they're stressed out, they have all these problems, everything's on them, the weight of the world, and they're living moment to moment. And when they at the end of a process like this, they're all of a sudden they're full of joy. They can choose to come in if they want to, they don't have to. The business runs itself. They can have normal life. Their family gets to know them again. I mean, those things are things that are make it rewarding for Rob and I.
And the business might be worth $30 million more than it was when you started the process as
Yeah,
well.
which is also good.
Well, and something that's coming to mind as I'm trying to picture this. I used to have this car that I always traveled with tools in the back of the car. And I remember being pulled over on Highway 71, or rather 17, which goes north-south up the East Coast, on the edge of dark with a couple wrenches trying to get my car going again. And I mean, I had a car, but it would do weird things at different times. One of the times I was driving up there, I ended up losing all my headlights. First I lost my low beams, then I lost one of my high beams, and all I had left was a single high beam, and I'm following a state trooper with my high beam on them.
That's
And
a
that
good
seems
story.
like that seems like a lot of the companies that you're going
Yeah,
in and helping.
right.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, I literally had a guy about 6 or 8 months ago. He owns a bunch of auto shops, and he said it was appropriate. He said, "I feel like I'm talking about his business." He said, "I feel like I'm driving this Ferrari with a blindfold on, right?" And that's the point, right? Whether it's financial visibility, operational visibility, yeah, let's get the blindfold off and let's see what's coming. And we also kind of use that driving analogy a lot ourselves. We talk about, working with our clients and it's one thing to put a roadmap in place or to put a plan in place. But if you just turn that map over to the client and their team, they're busy. They go back to doing when you leave, going back to doing what they've always done before, and they don't really make that progress. But if you get in the car with them and you drive that change forward, or you're at least in the passenger seat with them and you're in the car navigating while they drive that process forward, that's a game changer. And, just having the map isn't enough. It's really important to be in the car with them one way or the other to drive the improvements forward.
Because again, they don't have the bandwidth. They don't. In some ways, they don't need another good idea. They need somebody who can execute ideas for them and
Yeah.
and move the ball forward and change how things are done so life is better for all and the business operates better.
So if we go back to enterprise value, obviously there's a number of levers. When PE firms coming in looking at buying the business, they're looking at a few things to figure out what's the enterprise value. Basically, what's the business worth? What are those levers? What's being measured?
Sure. Yeah. So the starting point is the cash flow of the business, right? The forward cash flow of the business. So the historical financials definitely matter, and they give you a sense of maybe what the cash flow is going to be going forward. But really, that projected forward cash flow of the business is that baseline. You're generating $2 million a year. You're generating $8 million a year. That's kind of the starting point. Then, based on what range you're in terms of that cash flow. If you're generating $500,000 a year, a million, $2 million a year, you're probably going to tend to trade at a multiple of earnings that's maybe 3, 4, 5 times those earnings. But as you grow and you're a $3 million earnings company or a 5 or a $10 million earnings company, now you're getting an earnings multiple that's not 3 to 5 times your earnings, it's maybe 5 to 10x or more. So that's one part of it. That's kind of one dimension along maybe the x-axis if you want to think about it that way. But the other thing that happens is, why is it 3x versus 5x when you're smaller. And then you're a bit larger, but why are you going to be trading at 5 times your earnings as opposed to 10 or 12 times your earnings? And that goes to dozens of qualitative factors that are about the ability to transfer and deliver your business to someone else. No one wants to come in and take over a business that you're the only person that knows how to run it. So to have systems and process and reduce owner dependencies and customer concentration, supplier dependencies, to have systems and process in place so that the company runs without having to have one or two people with their foot on the accelerator 24 hours a day, every day of the year. That's what makes the company really valuable. And that's why you may start out as $1 million of earnings. You're getting a 3x multiple on your business because you're owner dependent and your company's worth 3 million. And then you work on your business for a couple years. Now you're earning $3 million a year and you can sell it for 6 or 7. Now you're selling your business for $20 million instead of 3 to 5 million. And that's not fiction. That's reality. If you can expand your earnings base and also significantly improve the deliverability of your business and reduce the dependency of your business on key individuals, then now you really have something.
Yeah, and I'll add one other point. The other point is, let's say your business is not very transferable. Even though the business might have technically have a value of 3 million, you might not have a buyer for it.
Yeah.
And the more transferable it is, the more attractive for another buyer to want to buy it. And so you're going to have a lot of businesses that are worth X amount of money, but they won't transfer, and therefore they won't sell, and therefore somebody's going to close them. That's the sad part. So the other part of it is just it's truly like marketing, like you do, is if you want to market your business, you better have a business that's transferable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is kind of your specialty, Steve, is you're making sure people have the processes, the right talents in place.
Yes, we obviously are tackling things like, do we have the right people? Do we have the right process? Do we have the right strategy? How we position the business compared to the competition, and then we also understand where are we making money, where we're not. Are we pursuing business that's in our sweet spot, profitable sweet spot, or are we pursuing business that's not good for us because it's more in the red ocean? So understanding that analytics around that is very, very valuable. And that's one of the key things we try to do to help somebody boost their profitability early and quick is making sure they're in the right place and the price points in the right area.
Well,
Craig,
and you,
if I could interject, just add one more thing to kind
yeah,
of your previous question about improving the operations and the value of the business and the process. The other element of it is, when can that owner exit? If they do want to exit, they want to retire, or if they want to turn it over to their management team or their kids or whomever it may be. If the business is not deliverable and they sell it to somebody, they're going to get lowballed on the offer because it's not very deliverable, and they're going to be tied to the business. They're going to be handcuffed to the business. The buyer is going to say, "Hey, listen, that's great, but you need to stick around for 2 or 3 years until we mind melt everything out of your brain and we understand how to run this company," right? If you've already done that work and the business has leadership and can run without you, now when you sell your business, you don't have to stick around for 2 or 3 years. You stick around for 2 or 3 months. Maybe you stick around for 6 months, and then you're on your way. So rather than spending those 2 or 3 years becoming an employee of your own business, which most people are going to hate, you spend those 2 or 3 years improving your business and really making it presentable and deliverable. That's a major game changer.
Yeah, one last comment on that too, just to add to that is that if you end up having that earnout, which is what he's talking about, that time frame you got to work, they have control of your business during that time. They could
yep.
bankrupt your business because they really don't understand it. And for whatever reason, they tend to ignore whatever the previous owner thinks because they think they know better. And it's a psychological phenomenon, but it happens over and over and over.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, and I've heard Rob from someone else who he's had clients of his exit in as short as 3 months after the sale. And the reason was they built a business that would run without him. And that's really what these people are looking for. It's like what my old car, if I go back to my old car example, that was a good car to sell to a mechanic. It wasn't
Right.
a good
Good
car
point.
to
Good point.
sell.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to sell that car to me. I don't know how
Right.
to. I don't know how to fix it. Believe me, I don't know how to fix it. Hmm.
And and maybe to a mechanic, but again, the mechanic's going to be looking at it and saying, "Hey, this is a good deal. This car is constantly breaking down on the highway, but I know how to fix it, and so I'm going to get a bargain on it."
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And to others, it's not a bargain. And I'm not mechanical either. So to Rob and I, that would be a disaster, not a bargain at any price.
Yeah. Well, um, and I would say, and we go back to a point we made earlier, is even if you don't intend to sell, if it's more valuable to an investor, it's more valuable to you.
Yes,
Oh, yes. You're making more
absolutely.
money all the way through
Yeah.
maybe you never sell. You're making more money along the way, and you're happier. You're happier while you're doing it. So yes, it absolutely becomes more valuable to you. You're able to borrow more, to finance growth or whatever it may be. So yes, 100%. It's more valuable to you all along the way, and then more valuable if you do try to if you do want to sell it at some point in the future.
And it's interesting. I feel like I've been having a lot of these conversations lately about you don't know how much time you have. And so if I
Right.
look back at my own, you all know my story.
Sure.
I unexpectedly go in a coma for 6 weeks. And one of the most delightful things for me was when I woke up from my coma and my mind, a couple weeks for my mind to clear up again. And my wife told me basically I had a business to return to because my team ran it without me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
And and so that's the thing. I mean, none of us know how much time we have. Let me ask this. Do you ever encourage some of your clients, hey, you need to take a 1 month vacation or a 3 month vacation? Don't take your phone, don't take your computer, just leave, let your business run and come back and let's see what happened.
Yeah, well, I think to that point is the answer is yes. The As you go down this thing and you think you've solved owner dependency, the only way you know is by exiting for a period of time and making sure that it is solid as you think. So, so I think that's the whole point. And then if you're successful, then you can live that life all the time. That becomes it's a choice. I can go if I want to go on a long vacation, I can. If I want to go do something else for a period of time, I can, because I'm now officially an investor, not an operator.
Yeah.
So being having the choice is the key thing. Some people love their business, they want to operate it, and that's fine. You just want to be in a position where it's optional, not mandatory.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote an about us page for a guy who he was a coach to help businesses do exactly what you're talking about. But he also had a bigger organization that he was running, and he took a 3 month sabbatical. And
Oh
he's going
wow. That's
in,
great.
he's like, I'm coaching people on how to build organizations that run without them. And he comes back and they had dug a 12-month financial hole in 3 months.
Ooh, wow.
And it
Wow.
was kind of a sobering thing, but it's back to your point, Steve, that the only way you know for sure is to test it. And so all of a sudden, when he did that, he started seeing where he had failed to build an organization that would run without him.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is don't take the 3 months the first time. Just try a week.
You got to ramp
And,
up
then,
to it.
and let's build this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not learn by catastrophic
Maybe a
failure.
long
Yeah,
weekend
that's
to
right.
get started, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, just within Sabre Financial Group, I mean, I started the company 10 or 12 years ago, and it was just kind of me for a long time until the last, 4 or 5 years when we really grown a fair amount. And so, I went on vacation. I went to North Carolina to see my sister, my uncle, and my sister's family last month. And I had made comments to Steve and some others when I got back that, honestly, it was the best, it was the freest vacation I had had in 10 or 12 years because we've put systems and process into our company now where where there was that freedom. Now, I almost got arrested by the U.S. Park Service while I was there, and so I would have been in jail for 6 months, and then we
No.
really would have tested things out. But it is very liberating, and even if you take a few days, you take a week, and then you take some more time to get to that point, your company's more valuable for it. That's for sure.
I didn't realize this just until like right now. Something I started doing years ago is I tell my team when they take vacation, if I catch them checking email on vacation, I'm going to have unkind words for them. I'm going to badger them, and I do because every now and then I catch that. But I've done the same thing for myself. When I went on vacation, I would put out the office email saying, I'm not checking emails. Please don't call me. Here's who you call. And I just realized part of what prepared me for going into that coma was I already had a regular practice where I would leave the business for a period of time and
That's
not,
smart.
and one for
So
that
everybody was
intention.
trained. They were trained how to behave in that environment.
Yeah. I can't believe that just hit me. And it wasn't because I was trying to be smart and build a business. It was because my brain needed a break.
Right.
Absolutely.
And to your point, the break, except for your coma experience, the break is generally a positive thing for the owner to get away and see things they couldn't see when they're in the firefight.
Yeah.
Well said.
Wow. Well, I know we could keep going. There's so much to cover, but I mean, if if I were to kind of summarize this, what we've been talking about is if there's a business owner, there's too many business owners out there that kind of feel trapped in the
Yes.
chaos and they feel like they can't leave. But the hopeful thing is there's a path to escape, and part of it's financial and part of it's organizational.
Yeah, and part of it's even just the analytics of the business itself. It's there's a number of layers in that, but all of those things can really change the whole their lives.
Wow. Well, guys, this has been really valuable. How can people reach you?
Can reach us through the website, which is Sabre, Sabre dash financial.com. There's contact information there. And then there's phone numbers on the website as well, and email addresses and that kind of thing. How else, Steve? That's probably
That's the
that's
best way.
probably probably the
Yeah.
probably the easiest way.
Well, excellent. Well, I appreciate you coming on Leaders and Legacies.
Greg, thank you for
Thank you.
for having us. Always fun to visit with you, and yeah, nice to be able to spend some time this afternoon just to shoot the breeze and talk a little bit. So thanks for having us, and we're grateful to know you and grateful that you had us join your show here today.